I'd like to call to order the school committee meeting of Wednesday, June 22nd at 6 p.m. Patty, can I get a roll call?
Yes, Ms. Barry?
Here.
Mr. Matucci?
Yep.
Ms. Petrie?
Here.
Ms. Swope? Here. Mr. Lettieri, Ms. Leonard, and Ms. Powell are not present.
Great. Ms. Patrick, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any public comment? Does not appear so.
We have none.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion? Oh, we don't have any delegates or visitors either. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes of June 6th, 2022, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martucci, second by Ms. Petrie. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope? Yes. Ms. Barry?
Yes. Great. Can I get, now we're on to financial and business. Can I get a motion to approve warrant SVW 22-22 in the amount of $359,589.16, please?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Ms. Swope, second by Ms. Petrie. Can we get a roll call?
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Ms. Swope? Yes. Ms. Barry?
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve payroll warrant SPW 22-26 in the amount of $244,363,000.46?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martucci, second by Ms. Petrie. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope? Yes. Ms. Barry?
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve payroll warrant SPW 22-26A in the amount of $3,087,381.50, please?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Ms. Swope, second by Ms. Petrie. Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope? Yes. Ms. Barry?
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve budget transfers in the amount of $821,513.32, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Petrie, second by Mr. Martucci. Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope? Yes. Ms. Barry?
Yes. Okay, we are on to buildings and grounds. Can I get a motion to approve a Winthrop High School girls soccer car wash to take place in August at the coming school?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, motion by Mr. Martucci, second by Ms. Petrie. Can we have roll call?
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope? Yes. Ms. Barry?
Yes. Okay, on to reports. I don't believe we have any subcommittee reports today.
We do not.
Okay, great. Do we have a superintendent's report, Ms.
We
Howard?
do. Thank you very much. Just to go over a little bit of background information for negotiations, just giving people in the community an update. We are still negotiating with all 7 unions. Contracts are ending the 30th of this month. Negotiations have been consistent and mutually agreed upon times and dates. Today we had the nurses negotiation meeting. I believe this was our second meeting with the nurses. On June 29th, we will be meeting for the second or third time with the ESPs. And on July 8th, we will meet again with the nurses in the morning and the clerks in the afternoon, or the secretaries. We will have a school committee meeting on July 11th, and on July 18th, we have secretary negotiations again. So I think it's important to note that these are ongoing and consistent, and we're moving along, making progress as we go along. Quick budget update. As you saw with the number of transfers that we had today, this is a little bit earlier than we normally do it. Oftentimes we wait until the end of June to do the final transfers. We've been working very closely on this year's budget in anticipation of closing the gap for next year's budget. So we do anticipate closing this budget with a zero balance, which is a testament to how we spent our money this year, how we watch the dollars that come and go into the district, as well as how we anticipate what our needs are going to be for the upcoming school year. We will have a number of carryovers in terms of purchase orders, which is a usual and customary process in which we have encumbered funds this year, but not all the bills have come in yet. So we're working, both Noel and I are working with the town CFO to ensure that we open those POs, close those POs for this year, reopen them as a carryover for next year, so that as those bills come in, they will be being paid with monies that were already encumbered from this school year. So they will not hit next year's budget. So we wanted to give you an update on that. In terms of the new budget for next year, we'll talk about that under new business, and we'll be able to give you an understanding of, if you recall, you voted a level service budget for our students for next year, and we had to wait for the town council to review our needs and take into consideration the meetings that we had with them, explaining what our needs were, what our funding sources were this school year as compared to what funds are available for next school year, which is inclusive of all the grants that we use to supplement our teaching staff and materials and supplies. So that was explained to them, and then they had a vote to allocate a certain amount of money for the school district's budget. And so we have been working on that diligently to be able to take the amount of money that they've appropriated to us and then figure out, based on that, are we going to have enough funds to meet the level service budget that we put forward? I can tell you that the answer to that question was no, that there was not going to be sufficient funding to complete the level service budget that the school committee approved of. So now that the town council has given us our allocation of money and has voted on that, the work that we had to do is go back to the table and figure out how to balance that. So you cannot spend more money than is available to you. So tonight, when we get into new business, we'll talk about exactly what we've done with the needs-based budget that you originally approved to get us to an allocation that is balanced with what the town has appropriated for us, as well as what grant funding we have, and then the school committee will need to take a vote on how we plan to do that so that we can move forward. And that budget will be open as of July 1st. Let's see. Just a quick overview of summer programs that are going on. I think it's important for folks to know that although school is out, school is not out because we run many summer programs. This year at the Gorman Fort Banks, we'll have a 4-week academic enrichment program for students entering grades 1 through 3. That goes from July 5th to July 28th. We identified students in need as well as opened that program up to other parents who would like to send their students. And all of these programs are being funded by the ESSER 3 grant, which was a grant that we wrote for well over a year ago. And these programs will start this summer. The coming school is doing a 6-week academic enrichment program for students in 4 through grade 6, and that's from July 11th through the 18th. The middle school is also doing a 4-week academic enrichment program specific to ELA and math. And they're also doing a middle school survival program and an arts and crafts program that will run for 3 weeks. Both of those programs are for students in grades 7 through 9. And that will run during the month of July. The high school is doing 50 hours of course credit time for subjects ELA and math, and those are for students who need that credit for credit recovery, so had difficulty passing a course during the school year. So this is 50 hours of course time in each one of those subjects so that they can move on to the next grade level in both subject areas, ELA and math. That is partially funded by ESSER 3, and there is a fee for students to participate in that. For Kids Only in the Winthrop Public Schools, put together a community partnership program. We're trying to expand our community relations with partners around the community. The ESSER 3 grant was the funding source for this. There will be 4 educators of the Winthrop Public Schools that will be teaching at the For Kids Only new facility to enhance academic opportunities for students who are otherwise already signed up for and attending For Kids Only. So in the past, we've had trouble servicing our students who need academic support, who are attending FKO all day because they didn't want to leave the FKO program and come to us, or there was not transportation to do so, depending upon the grade. So we put together a partnership in which we send the teachers to the Kids Only, and the courses that are being taught are STEM classes. We have a drama and theater program running, an ELA and math program, and a social emotional learning program. And that's going to run for a period of 6 weeks. So the students that attend FKO are our students anyway.
Right.
So this is something that brings that partnership together. And then another program that we have is our extended school year program. And this is for students who have IEPs, or individual education plans, in which those plans speak for the children to continue to receive services during the summer. It's an entitlement. It's not a sign-up program, and it's not a fee-for-service program. The school district has that in their budget every year, and that's to support the extended year learning that these students will need, with the understanding that without a program as such, they will have substantial regression beyond the norm. So beyond, every child regresses. Every child regresses over Christmas vacation, April vacation, whatever vacation we have, and certainly over the summer. However, for some of our students with special needs, that regression is significantly more so than the average child, and those students qualify for that extended school year funded by the school district. And then under other things, the town manager, which is not Terry Delahanty anymore, but the new town manager, Anthony Marino, and our Back to Business Police Chief, Chief Terry Delahanty, are sharing information that on Sunday, I believe it's at 9 o'clock, on Sunday, June 26th at 9 o'clock at 120 Shirley Street, members of our community are invited to join the town leaders in planting trees to remember two of our life residents, Ramona Cooper and David Green, who were killed, who were executed back in June. So these trees are being planted alongside plaques bearing the names of Ramona and David. So everyone is invited to that, and that's at 9 o'clock. It's at 120 Shirley Street, which is where the tragic event took place. So anyone who wants to attend that, and I encourage people to do so and support the memory of those community folks. And in terms of my superintendent report, that is it.
Great, thank you.
We have no
Any-
homeschool applications tonight.
Suzanne Swope, Ms. Swope has
Oh,
a
sorry.
question.
Go right ahead.
Just have one quick question. On the summer programs, are there any empty spaces? And if there were, could a student who wants to be in the summer program sign up?
So that's a great question that I don't have a great answer for because I don't know. But I do know that if folks reach out to Miss Laurie Gallivan, she will, if it's for the enrichment program, if they reach out to Miss Laurie Gallivan by email, which is on our website, she's listed as lgallivan@winthrop.k12.ma.us. I know there is a waiting list for service for Kids Only, and also 21st Century is also running, and I believe we have over 140 students signed up for 21st Century, and I believe there's a waiting list for 21st as well, but Laurie can direct anybody for further information on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great, no homeschool applications?
Not tonight, nope.
Okay, on to personnel. Do we have any appointments?
Sure, no appointments at this time. We have a couple of resignations from the middle school, Erin Das and Miori Prasad, and from the Arthur T. Cummings, Ellie Warfel. So those have been, you'll see that they're posted underneath. Retirement, Linda Young has notified us most recently in the last couple of weeks that she is retiring. Linda is a kindergarten teacher at the Gorman Fort Banks for many, many years. It is sad to see Linda go, but as I tell all our retirees, you can go, but you can't hide. And we can always find something for you. Postings, an occupational therapist. We are looking for, we used an outside agency to provide that service last year on top of our staffed occupational therapists, and that's for the 2022-2023 year. We have posted the stipend positions at the Cummings School. We need a kindergarten teacher, as you know, from the retirement of Linda Young, a BCBA, and that is for a district-wide BCBA. We are still, that is not, you'll see that that is not in the budget as a position that is salaried. That is funded out of, I believe, either tuitions or the 240 grant. It's not on the top of my head. Traditionally, we subcontract that out. However, we believe it may be more financially beneficial to have the person on site, as long as there is some pretty strict oversight and understanding of the position. So we're looking at different options for that, but we are posting it as a position. We need an elementary classroom teacher at the Cummings School, a math teacher at the middle school, ESP at the middle school, a grade 2 long-term substitute for maternity leave at the Gorman Fort Banks, special education teacher from Ellie Warfol's resignation at the Cummings School, and we posted the lead ESP positions and other stipended positions for all buildings. Those are the postings that have been out there or are going out there, and we also, at this point, we do not have any leave of absence requests for the moment.
Great. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay. On to new business. The ratification of the cafeteria contract, we're going to move to unfinished business and take that up at a later date.
Yeah, we're going to move that, the 2019-2022, so it's the last 3-year contract
Yep.
that needed to be ratified. We've had all the meetings. The union itself, the cafeteria union, does need to vote on that, and then it would come back to the committee for a vote. They were supposed to do that this week. Unfortunately, they were unable to hold that meeting, so if we could move that to the next school committee meeting, that would be appreciated.
Great. Next up, we have the vote to approve the final 22-23 school budget.
Yes.
Do we want to take a motion first, or?
Sure,
Yep.
and then I can do, we
Yep.
can do
Can I have a motion to approve the 22-23 budget?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Petrie, second by Mr. Martucci. Can we have a roll call?
Yes, do you want to have discussion and then do the
Oh,
vote?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Let's have a
sure.
discussion
Yep,
first.
yep.
Thank you.
If I may, just, both Noel and I are certainly here for questions. What you have in your packet is the 2022-2023 budget that has been lined up with the allocation of funds that we have received and that has been voted on from the town, as well as the income from the grants that we are going to use. So just as a summary, the total operating budget for the upcoming school year, which takes into consideration all of our staff and all of our expenses, whether they're contracts for such things as Xerox, whether they're contracts for outside psychologists, materials, supplies, paper, anything else that we do that it is not an employee. So there's 2 different sections. You have salaries and you have expenses. So in terms of the salaries, the level service budget and that we were looking for, in terms of salaries for all staff, it was $21,113,180. Of that $21 million, $19,454,767 was charged to the LEA, and what that means is the general budget. An additional $1,658,413 in salaries is charged to grants. So the 1.6 million and the 19 million and change creates the $21 million salary line item. Our expenses for a level service budget were $4,974,743. When you combine all of that together, so the cost charged to grants doesn't really matter where it's charged to, but the total operating budget, what does it cost to run the Winthrop Public Schools on our level service requested budget, which was everything we had last year, plus whatever percentage rate, not inclusive of collective bargaining. Our overall operating budget is $26,087,923. So when you look at that full figure, if we had anticipated that the town was going to be giving us a small increase, albeit we're happy for it, and the total allocation we were expecting was $23 million. $742,750. So if you take the 26 million minus the 23.7, it leaves you with a gap, but we have $1.6 million in grant funding that we use to supplement that. And when you add all that up, at the end of the day, it leaves us with a deficit of $687,760 between the level service budget that you originally approved and the allocation that the town has given us. So, in order to make that even, we had to figure out what cuts we could make or reductions we could make up that $687,760, because you can only spend the amount of money that you're allocated in terms of funds. I think it's important to note that in terms of grant funds, last year we spent close to $3 million in salaries and expenses out of grants. This year it's different because the grant funding is not available in terms of the amount that we were able to get last year for this year. So how did we close that $686,000 gap to put a budget before you that is equivalent to what the town has provided us and the grant monies that we have coming in? So we were able to prepay some of our tuition, so any funds that were not expended this year, we put a freeze on the budget in April purposely to stop the spending in anticipation that we were not going to get a full allocation of funds. So we were able to prepay $470,000 in tuitions, and how does that work? If we prepay $470,000 in tuitions, we're then able to lower the tuition line that we originally had in our budget minus the $470,000. Materials and supplies, and there were many different line items that we reduced for materials and supplies. We reduced that by $47,552. We took our gas and electric, and this is a little bit dangerous to take gas and electric of this year, and we also did a 5-year look back. And back 2 years ago when we got the solar panels, I worked with then Susan Eccles, who was working in the business office, to look at the savings we may get for that, and we reduced the last 2 years' budget based on that savings. So there wasn't a lot of wiggle room there. But when we went with the actuals of this year to predict next year with a slight increase because of the issues around gas and certainly the effect that has on electricity and oil, we reduced between the 4 schools $51,000 worth of electric costs and $32,000 worth of gas costs. That could come back as an issue if we have a bad winter, and if so, certainly I will be speaking to the committee about the potential of going back to the town asking for a supplemental budget because we are so tight. We also we've had offsets in salaries, so people who have resigned since we did the level service budget and since the town has allocated our funds, had about 91,000 in turnover. And what does that mean? Teachers who, and this does not include retirements because the known retirements were factored into the level service budget at a lower rate. Since then, teachers who have left us, we have reduced the replacement cost for those teachers significantly. That is limiting in terms of the recruitment of teachers. However, we're very thin in many places, especially expenses. So we have to pay our known contracts because we've signed those contracts, so we can't reduce those. So this was one area that we were relatively tight on. And then other grant offsets, so I've talked to you about the fact that the grants came in much lower and some of the grants are gone. They were 1-year grants that no longer exist. We used to pay for things last year that we no longer have those funds for. Some of those cuts or reductions that you'll see is the in-school monitors by $40,000. We had $10,000 worth of in-school monitors during COVID to do things like hallway patrol, bathroom patrol, because we could only have one child in the bathroom at a time. And then certified nursing assistants that were working with our nurses doing everything related to COVID. Contacting parents, doing data entry, swabbing people, submitting data to the Department of Education, and updating our own records. So there was certified nursing assistants in there were actually 4 people spread across 4 buildings, working part-time each. We will not be returning those positions next year. That was an additional $47,000. And then out of grants, we've also reduced materials and supplies out of grants by $77,790. And we also have factored into the balance of our circuit breaker account. And the balance of the circuit breaker account, the funds that we are legally able to use for next year is a total of $487,000. And that is the sort of Evelyn Woods version of how I work with Noel and the principals, the leadership team, and the grant managers we have, which is me and Laurie Gallivan, to close that deficit, which was originally $1,038,000 to close, got it down to $689,000, and then got it down to 0. And that's the budget that you have in front of you that you will need to vote on as to whether or not you agree with that budget. And we are open for questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
We had originally voted on a needs-based budget, and in that needs-based budget were several new programs or opportunities. One, for instance, was a band program with a shared band instructor between the middle and the high school. Another one was a world language teacher for the middle school, although I wasn't clear if that was an open position already or if it was in addition. But I think it's important for the community to know, like, what are we not able to fund because we're with a level services budget?
So that's a really good question, and the budget process is 10 months long for us. I find it critical that the community, the parents, and anyone who will show up and listen to what our needs-based budget is, understands that we are, as a school committee and as a school, advocating fully for what we believe our children need in order to be on the same level playing field as other communities. And so all of those requests for band, for returning language, for additional IT support, for additional administrative support, nursing support, all of those things are things that we truly believe were needed for our students. Not receiving a needs-based budget, we're getting used to that. It doesn't negate our advocacy for our kids to tell that same story every year. Mm-hmm. And each year that amount gets bigger. The 5 years that I've been here, we have not received a needs-based budget. As a matter of fact, a level service budget, which is hopefully everything you had last year, you'll get back next year, which doesn't include the things you really asked for. We have not received a flat needs-based budget, level service budget either. So we've had to reduce things that we had received the year before. Sometimes we can bring those things back. That's not magical. We don't find money. We look for funding sources in grants and in attrition. So, and that comes about by teacher. If we have teachers who retire, we're able to keep that. So at the end of the day, we look at the level service budget and anything that we could not bring back, and we start bringing back those things in hopes that we can someday reach maybe 1 or 2 of the needs-based budget items that we wanted. We haven't gotten there yet, so anything that we did ask for, we did not put into the budget. However, at the middle school level, when we eliminated Spanish was not eliminated by a budget cut. Spanish was eliminated by the ability to recruit and retain a qualified Spanish teacher at the time the Spanish teacher left. We felt it was critical, this was pre-COVID, to put in an additional social emotional learning course for our students, especially at the middle school level. I mean, it's sort of like an ongoing, we should have that 6 periods a day. And so that was the course that we've run for the last 3 years. This summer, we had this spring, one of our phys ed teachers resigned and moved to the Cape. The commute was not helpful. And we were able to bring on a phys ed teacher to replace that teacher at a lower rate. And now phys ed is going to be the typical phys ed program we have, but health and wellness is going to be rolled into that classroom as a curriculum. And it just so happens that the phys ed teacher that's replacing the teacher that left was the SEL teacher at the middle school. So we moved her out of her position. She's going to teach SEL, which is big pieces, health and wellness, and phys ed. And her replacement is going to be a Spanish teacher. Parents in the in the school report, and the school site council expressed the need for that to come back, and Mr. Curley was adamant that he would bring it back when he could, and this was the opportunity to do that. So middle school will now again have Spanish.
That's great news.
So it's not a new position, it's not an added position, it's a reallocation
Got it.
of how we're staffing.
That's great.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions?
Suzanne has one.
Ms. Swope?
First of all, Lisa, I so appreciate all of this work. It is just mind-boggling how you've been able to do this. So I'm most appreciative of it. I think I can speak for everybody about that. We've become quite a guru on this. But to think that we have to go through these gyrations because we don't have enough money is really a tragedy. Because we have the wherewithal, now we have the leadership and we have the staff. So I hope that the town realizes what we are giving up, as Julie said. We do have to understand what we don't have.
Yep.
As well as what we do have. That is so important because there will come a time, whether it's next year or the following year, where we're going to run into a huge, huge crisis. So, but thanks for all your hard work and behind you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the thanks, and this is like a professional sport to me. I know this budget like the back of my hand. I'll never stop advocating for what I believe our students need. I'll never stop looking at other districts to see what other kids get, because I think our kids are deserving of the same, if not more. And the most important thing is I'll never stop writing the book, because people need to go back and review the chapters year to year and not just live in the moment. We understand that we have to live in the moment of the money that we have, but it's unfair to our students now and our students in the future if people just think this is a one-time occurrence. So when there becomes an issue relative to, and I use this example all the time, perhaps our history test scores at the middle school are not as good as surrounding communities. I can bring you back to Chapter 1, 2017, written in 2017, in which the needs-based budget was strongly advocating for certified social studies teachers to teach social studies to our students at the middle school. We have not been able to accomplish that at the level we want to. Our teachers at the middle school teach more than one subject matter, and there is no one person who is an expert in everything in education. Middle school and high school education is content-driven versus elementary school, which is multiple subject matters in which teachers are trained to teach multiple subject matters. So when we get to that point, I'll have to flip back through the chapters and go back and ask people to reread Chapter 1 of 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21, and 22 to understand that this is not an epiphany to us, although it might be to people in the moment. It's not to us, and we've been advocating for this. So that chapter book really is the data to support how the school committee has worked and how superintendents, myself and those in the past, have worked to advocate for our children, and we will not stop doing that just because, I feel like a 5-year-old sometimes because I don't take no for an answer, and people forget. So if we just say okay and keep moving forward, how do you prove you ever really thought that was super important? So that might be my retirement gig, writing that book and getting it published. But thank you for the support. So the committee would need to, you've already had a motion and a second. And
Yep,
you would need
to take a vote. Yep. Roll call vote? Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Thank you.
Operation and management of the school food service program. This is an RFP. We're gonna move that to a later date. We're gonna move that to unfinished business.
Yes, that is correct. We're finalizing, I spoke with Monica Ford today. She's sending me all the sealed bids from the 3 vendors tomorrow, in which I will review the financial records, and Lisa and myself will go over the notes that we took and who we would recommend, and we'll bring it to you guys for our next school committee in regards to who
Great.
we request.
Thank you. And can I get a motion to accept the retirement resolution for Linda Young?
Motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Martucci, seconded by Ms. Swope. Roll call?
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes. Great, I don't have anything under unfinished business. Do we have any public relations today? Mr. Martucci? No? Ms. Petrie?
From what I have seen, and experienced as a parent, I think the end of the school year went really well for a lot of the kids. The kids at all of the schools seem to have a lot of fun the last week of school, so that makes me happy.
Yep, I agree. I
So,
don't have
it-
anything.
you know, in terms of having fun the last week of school, school is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be enjoyable, and contrary to popular belief, we want our kids to whoop it up the last week of school and go out on a high note. This is the completion of my 5th year of being a superintendent, and I hold my breath right up to the last day. And just a shout out to the teachers, the ESPs, every staff member, custodians, cafeteria workers, nurses, and the parents for allowing Winthrop to continue to be safe, supportive, and to run a school district on a wing and a prayer. But at the end of the day, we come out pretty well. I saw a lot of smiling faces, lots of graduations, 5th grade moving on, 8th grade moving on, high school graduation. It goes in a blink of an eye, So, I feel as though we did an amazing job this year. We had tremendous accomplishments, which I will reflect in the assessment of the school district, which will be coming up probably next month, as I give you my overall summary of how things went this year.
Great,
So, thank you.
thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martucci, second by Ms. Petrie. Roll.
Yes, Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you, Suzanne. I'll be in touch.